Super excited today, everyone, to welcome you to the special edition that we have for Podcastathon week. So this is a really special week that has been organized, and there's over 1,500 people who run podcasts, and we're specially hosting people from charities to really get the word out there about the great impact that charities can have on all of us. And so today I wanted to invite my good friend Simon Errington onto the show. Simon is the CEO of Children in Distress, an amazing charity. And I wanted him to share with us a little bit about the charity and what it does, but also some of the challenges of being the leader and a CEO of a charity. Because let's face it, you're working often with a lot of volunteers. They're not tied to you by a paycheck. I want Simon to come and share some of his wisdom with us. So, Simon, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Simon, tell me a little bit about Children in Distress so that all of our listeners know a little bit about what the charity does and how you got involved in it. Because I know you're a man that spends a lot of time doing work for other people in a charitable capacity. So share with us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So Children in Distress, just going through an abridged version, 35 years ago, we set up a charity to support Romania, essentially.
Okay.
Support Romanian children who were suffering as a consequence of the communist rule that fell. And the individuals who set it up, it was a religious setting originally, and they were called to go and help the children. And as part of that calling, then they built hospices, they helped the children who were essentially tossed out onto the street, really, and not really cared for. And all the orphanages closed, and really they just didn't have anywhere to go. So we set up the orphanages, we looked after the children, and we've spent essentially a good 30 years doing that work and building more orphanages or acquiring more places to support the children. And of course, over 30 years, 35 years, the world changes, and Romania now is a completely different place, and it's a beautiful
Yeah.
place to go. It's a great holiday destination, and Bucharest is really nice now. But obviously, that was a different story when we set up. So now we leave ourselves with a huge legacy of work where we've supported a load of children, and now we're looking after a small number of children in a sister charity in Bucharest, where they are looked after and their disability, neurological and physical disabilities, are cared for in a small family setting.
Okay.
No more than 12 children within this house.
Oh, wow.
So this house is called Casa Maria, and this is where we do most of our work in the Romanian world now, although we do still support a number of other projects through our annual Shoebox campaign. We send out 5,000 shoeboxes annually to support people who otherwise wouldn't get something for Christmas.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
we do some great work out there still, and we do some great work for our project out there. So over the years, I think one of the things that we realized that as a charity was that actually we need to think a little bit different, and in order to keep something fresh beyond 35 years, actually, is what do you do next? And
Yeah.
as the world's changed over there, actually what we felt was the strategic focus then was around actually we need to look at closer to home, look at the UK and see where we can support people in the UK whilst maintaining the legacy work that we've got out there, and by giving grants to Romania, but also giving grants to grassroots organisations in the UK. And that's where we're heading now. We're maintaining our legacy, but we're now looking to how we can support projects that are already in existence, where charity leaders or local leaders of communities are doing some great work, and they know what the people need within their area. So we want to support those people financially and through our experience of working with vulnerable children over the years to help them succeed.
Awesome.
I
Wow.
think that's where we came from. I know it's a bit long-winded, but that's how we arrived at where we are today.
Yeah. What I love about this is a real story of real life reinvention. And we often talk on the podcast about how reinvention is becoming something that's just becoming the norm. And what I really love about your story there is how you in Children in Distress have needed to respond to the changing conditions. And like you say, Romania is nowhere in the position it was when you set the charity up 35 years ago, and now you're pivoting and doing stuff in the UK. So perhaps tell us a little bit about some of the projects you're supporting here in the UK, just so, again, the listeners got a bit of an understanding about that.
Yeah, of course. So we embarked upon this about a year ago, and we decided we'd look at some pilot programs in the first instance. So we've been working with a leader of a community interest company in Hull, and we've worked with her to provide us some funding to deliver a cooking club on a weekly basis. So the children come in and they learn to cook, but it's a slightly different from just traditional cooking, because these children are all Romanian, and they're actually Romanians living in the UK. So
Okay.
the families have come across from Romania, settled in Hull, and as a community, they still get together. And what they wanted to do was ensure that their children didn't lose their heritage.
Yeah.
So part of this is to then help them to cook Romanian type food and then to share that around the room. So one of the projects there that she runs is 30 children on a weekly basis to come come together, prepare food, have some fun, eat the food, and then move on to other activities and just being with their families. So the parents get involved as well. They come along and they also have a community, as do the children have a community. I think longer term, what they're looking at is then how do we integrate the rest of the community
Mm.
into that project so that other people can see how the Romanians in this particular context eat and the types of food they eat.
Yeah.
And they're lovely. Some great food comes up. I've been a couple of times. And, that's a really good project. This person runs a second project as well, which is, we call it a Sunday school. But
Right.
again, it's the same group of people. And essentially, it's a school that then educates the same group of people to maintain their heritage language or to maintain their language. And they learn keywords, they learn key phrases, and that just maintains their identity as a Romanian. But essentially, they're probably born British, but
Yeah.
they now want to keep that language. So that's a national setup run by this local independent,
Wow.
which
And
is great. Yeah.
yeah, and I love that, helping people keep their heritage back in the UK. I think that's so important that we always recognize where our roots are from. But I know that I think it's a little bit ironic, isn't it, that this project particularly has a Romanian, let's call it, twist to it, as in
Yeah.
there's Romanian, but it's not exclusively, is it? Your Children in Distress is for any type of project that needs some support within the UK, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We started off as a pilot, and by knowing people from Romania was the easiest way to start,
Yeah.
to see is what we're doing, are the processes and systems that we put in place working? And by using people that that are running great projects, we were able to do that. And where we'll head now in the future is that actually we'll be looking for further small grassroots organizations who are looking for some funding, looking for support, guidance, and we'll look to work with them then to deliver their message out to the children. And for me, it's about growth and well-being of the young people. It's not changed from where we were in Romania, essentially. It's about education, it's about learning, it's about developing those life skills and that emotional well-being. It's that whole well-being message. So there may be an art class somewhere that would benefit from some funding, but it brings children together, and through art, they then would create that community and that well-being.
I know you've got some key pillars that you focus on. So you talked a little bit there. It's about well-being. What are some of the key pillars that you're focusing on with the young people?
Yeah, so well-being is a big one. I think well-being
Mm.
and ensuring that children are emotionally stable and that they have that opportunity to interact with others, to take them away from the technology and just come and interact with each other. The other ones we're looking at is education, so that the projects I've just spoken about that we're currently funding are the educations around cooking, around the life skills. That's another key
Mm.
area for us. And just to build their confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence is a big skill, a big life skill. And I think having that ability just to communicate and be with other people, to mix with adults and children at the same time is a huge it builds their resilience, I think, for
Yeah.
me. And I think that community connection is once we get to that point where, certainly in the current projects and in future projects, it's about building those connections across that community so that it doesn't become exclusive one project, it becomes that whole community to come together, yeah, and work together.
Yeah, what I really like about that is it's that kind of ecosystem approach I talk about so much, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
how does one bit filter into everything else within the system? And I think it's really interesting because I think life for young people nowadays it is really tough, right? A lot of them have come out, some of them grew up through the COVID years, and a lot of them, like you say, struggling with confidence, well-being, they're able to communicate and get on with other people. So I really love that you're out there in the community supporting people with these things.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see them and to see the outcomes and just the smiles on their face and just the excitement that they've got by what they've achieved and what they've delivered. Yeah, it's been great. There was a diploma ceremony at the end of the school year in December, a miniature diploma, almost degree ceremony for them to say that they've actually what have they learned over this period of time, and their faces just light up. It's great.
Mhm. And I know that you're very passionate about young people generally, and you and I first met when you were doing some stuff with the Scouts.
Yeah.
So, what is it about, and why do you invest so much of your personal time in volunteering in organizations like the Scouts, at like Children at Distress? What is it that lights you up about these types of organizations?
I think for me, it's that personal return and
Mm,
actually getting that return back from seeing some people grow and develop. Yeah, I spent a lot of time within the scouting world developing young leaders and developing young people to be the future leaders within the Scouting Association, but also just to be great citizens and great
yeah.
leaders as well. So I've I can see over the years that I've been doing that, which is probably about 12 years,
Mm,
where people have then now they're in great jobs, they're doing great things. And I do genuinely believe, and I do hear from them, that actually it was because they had some great grounding when they were in the Scouts. Scouts generally is a great
mm,
institution anyway to learn life skills and all the things I've just spoken about. So it's that seeing them grow and develop and grow into adults and
mm,
great adults that they wouldn't maybe have had that had they not been in the Scouts or the Army Cadets or whatever.
mm.
Hence, they're all very similar, but for me, it was just scouting.
Yeah, I know. And
It's the outdoors, isn't it?
yeah, it's the outdoors. I know you love to do that. And I've just seen over the years that I've known you, the time and energy you've put into both organizations. And yeah, and I've just seen a little bit from the side how I've seen people grow and develop under your mentorship and steerage. And that's incredible that we can give people those opportunities that often are people
Yeah.
that might not have had them before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the places that we did meet previously was at the Outdoor Activity Centre, which is just outside York. And that is another great place where people can grow and develop
Mm.
and get back with nature and again lose the gadgets, lose the technology, and just lose themselves in the forest, in the woods. I don't mean completely so you can't find them, but it's just a great place for people to go and actually get back to basics of cooking on open fires, pitching tents, just being with each other again. And you can't beat a good game of rounders together just to have a bit of fun. It is that fun. I think the mantra used to be fun, challenge, and adventure. And I think that's really what it gives them up there, gives them
Mm.
that escapism that they wouldn't have got otherwise.
Yeah. No, I love that. Being the CEO of a charity,
Yeah.
I always have the utmost admiration for you because, in my view, this being a CEO of a charity and working with a lot of volunteers is probably more difficult than running a mainstream business. So, can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges
Mhm.
about leading an organization that's predominantly filled with people volunteering?
Yeah, I think it is completely different to running a business. I've worked in corporate worlds as well before, and I think when you're working with volunteers, it's not that there's less opportunity to direct and to tell people where you want them to be and what you want them to do. It is very much an ask. It is
Mm,
very much dealing with the situation at that time and then taking the people that you've got and nurturing them to see the benefits of what we're doing and remind them of the vision and the mission that we're here to achieve. And I think it's about building relationships, because without the relationships with the volunteers, then they won't do it for you. They won't go and
Mm,
support you. And I think that takes time. It's about that nurturing the confidence, nurturing that support to the point where they'll do what you want them to do because they're doing it for you. And I think we've got a couple of shops in children in distress, one in Gisborough and one in Kirby Moorside,
okay.
and they're both different. But the one of them is full of volunteers. There's 18 volunteers in there. They're
Wow.
coming all the time, and they come in because they work for the leader. And I think that's
Mm,
the same with the volunteers. That I don't take all of the credit for that particular shop, because it's down to the manager and the leader, and they do it for her. They
mm,
work for her and they work for that individual, and they get paid nothing, but they put so many hours in to make that work. And I think that's the same when you take into the Scouts. To get people to come and work with you and to volunteer with you, you can put on some amazing events if the relationship has been built and people trust you, believe in what you're trying to achieve, and really passionate about what you're trying to achieve as
mm.
well. So I think it's that trust and relationship is huge for me, and it has been all my life.
Yeah. And I think that you sum it up so well with, because they've also got to be passionate about it, right? In order to want to even be part of it. Because I think one of the things is, and I think sometimes about, there's a big thing in the corporate world, isn't there, about we have our volunteer days when people can go out and do stuff. And
Yeah,
but a lot of those people just do it that one time. And obviously the success of any type of charity relies on these volunteers coming back week in, week out
absolutely. Yeah,
and doing what needs to happen. It's not just a one time fits all. I think there's having some resonance in there between what your personal aspirations are as a volunteer and what the charity is trying to achieve. And we were just talking before I came on air, and I barely don't even dare say this because it might not happen, but I've reached out to a horse rescue about which is a charity about taking on an additional horse. And why do I do that? Because that's what I'm passionate about. There's an
yeah,
alignment there that makes sense, and I think that's often the same for your volunteers, right? Is
definitely.
with
Yeah,
the
yeah. Yeah, they've got to be aligned with what you're looking to achieve and what you're about, and they've got, I think, within the shops and if you're within a scouting group, it's about the community as well. So they've
Mm,
got to be aligned with the community, and they've got to be there for that community, and that's what they give. That's what they're passionate about. With the shop, that one of the shops, that they'll put a bingo night on, they'll put a raffle night on, they'll have a Christmas raffle, they'll have various fancy dress events, but it's all about the community that they're within, and they're the people that we rely on then to support our charity. I think as well, beyond that, we've got wider communities as well, where we've got volunteers that work across the country, and certainly for the Shoebox campaign, which is our annual giving to Romania, we've got groups who put together shoe boxes, wrap them all up in Christmas paper, fill them with various contents for children, for teenagers, for adults, and for families. And they're working on them now, ready for Christmas this year.
wow.
And it's great that those people are there. And whilst I don't have necessarily control over them, we have communication with them. We feedback each year what happens. And that's a great extended
Mm.
volunteer group of people.
Yeah, no, and I remember you shared with me just before Christmas about the trucks going over, and I saw some of the
Yeah,
pictures and that, and that's logistically is just an incredible
massive.
operation to do, but to get all of these people to actually, even in the first place, fill up the boxes is
Yeah,
just amazing, isn't it?
absolutely. It is. Yeah. And that they keep doing it and have been doing it for many years. So, yeah.
It's like almost it becomes an embedded habit, part of their Christmas
Yeah.
festivities are.
And they have a community, they're coming together as a community of people to do this activity. That's what they do. So some might knit all year, and they might
Right.
knit hats all year. And you'll arrive and there's 3 bin bags full of hats, and they've been doing that for 30 years. And it's
Yeah.
great because they can then go into the shoe boxes. And it's a great community that we've built up. And I'm so grateful to them for that as well. It's that
Mm.
they keep going.
And
So 35 years on, obviously, they're getting older from
yeah.
when they started. So it's great that they still continue to do this.
Yeah, so two things that come out of that is one, the community aspect. I think it's really interesting, isn't it? Because we're living in this world that's more connected, but yet more disconnected than ever
Yeah,
with
oh yeah,
all the media. And whoops. And people, I think, are really craving that community and connection. And activities like this allow people to get together and do that. And you know what we were actually saying the other day, a friend of mine runs a pub, or had invested in and owned a pub, and we were just saying 10, 12 years ago that pub was full of people every night, and the
yeah,
pub as a central hub of a lot of villages has now dissipated. So what do people do instead? They need other things to do, and what a great thing to do, to be doing something in a community setting like the knitting, but then that has such a positive impact for everybody else.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the great thing about it. It is about it's the sense of community over here, and then actually when you go out to Romania and you pass out the shoeboxes to the children at the school, it's that sense of community where they all come together and they're excited to receive their box.
Mm.
It's just such a, and they're miles apart, but they're actually it's exactly the same. The community feel is just the same. So
And so,
rewarding.
and so you were talking there obviously about the volunteers. A lot of them have been doing this for many years. What are some of the challenges with getting the younger generation involved in working in charities and stuff like this? Because obviously that's going to be the future, right? How do we keep these things going into the future?
I think that's our current challenge. I think that's what
Right.
we're working on at the moment to try and engage some younger supporters, some younger donors. And I think it is a strategy that we're just looking to work our way through. But I think, again, by bringing the language of what you're currently doing to the current place, rather than talking about 35 years ago, we need to talk about now
Mm.
and actually what we're doing now. And I think the fact that we reinvented ourselves or evolved into the UK, we feel will then help people to come along and come on board because they can see the benefit. I think if you were there 35 years ago and you saw the news, you could see the benefit. Now they have to be able to see, so
Mm.
why would I do it? What is the benefit? What is it going to happen? What's in it for me?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it as well. So it's how do we give back to them? I took my volunteers away last year. We went to Whitby for fish and chips,
Oh, nice.
and I think we need to make sure we're engaging with them and just bringing them together so they can actually meet each other and again building that community.
Mm.
So it is hard to, I don't think there's a magic solution. If anybody's got one, I'd love to find it. But I think bringing younger people in, I think they'd want to know what their return is, what they're going to get from it. It takes a special type of person to commit to
Mm.
charity. But having said that, the Scouts managed to achieve it. But equally, they've had the challenges as well over the years. And I think COVID wasn't helpful in
No.
that it made people reevaluate what they do and how they do it, and the fact they had so much more time when there was nothing else to do. So that's not been our friend. But I think we need to try and it's 5 years ago. I'm not harping on about
No.
COVID, the spike of it, but I think that was a catalyst for it. I think now it's about ensuring that they can see the value of
Mm.
what we're doing.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about things like DIY SOS, the big bill
Hmm.
there on TV and stuff. And definitely the people that I've seen of the younger generation, often people that have been through the program and the programs have helped them. And now for
Yes.
they're passionate to pay it forward
Hmm.
and therefore get involved in order to help other kids coming through.
And I think that's one of the things that we're looking at the moment is how can we get people. There are Facebook communities, for example, that are all have common of a community feeling and a common willingness to do something that we should be tying in with those.
Mm.
So how can we work together if they've got, again, collaboration has got to be the way forward, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Collaborating with other communities, with other groups to work together to both our aims. And I think that's
Mhm.
one of the areas of marketing that we're looking at the minute is to
Mhm.
try and do that.
Yeah.
Can't do it alone. Those days have gone really, and you can only do it by collaborating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, what I love about particularly Children in Distress is that you're such a small charity and yet you're able to make such a massive, profound impact. And I think we often think, and I'm sure lots of people's donations maybe go to the larger charities. And I know we've talked about Red Nose Day and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And we see the millions and millions of how generous people are putting money into that. And it's like, how do we also make sure some of the smaller operations and organizations such as yours also are getting a chunk of that money in order to make a difference at the grassroots level? Yeah.
absolutely. And that's why I think that's why we've looked to come to the UK to try and do something
Mm.
different while maintaining our legacy. And I think we are a very small team. We're a very small operation. We've streamlined ourselves, so our administration is as low as it can possibly be, and that every pound that we get into our pocket is as much as we possibly can is given back to the projects that we're there to support. But it's a tough world, as you say. There's a
Mhm.
lot of charities that are out there looking for the same pound coin. So
Mm.
it's we've got to be able to identify what's unique about us and actually the impact that we have that will resonate with those people who want to part with their pound for us.
Yeah. And having seen a little bit under the hood of your business, I know how good you are about streamlining things and really keeping an eye on the costs. And I think there's a big lesson there for any leader of any business about we really need to pay attention to the dollar, the dime, the pound, the
Yeah,
penny, because you've not got the luxury of having a big buff around it. When you and I both worked in corporate, sometimes some silly money got spent on silly things, right?
yeah, yeah.
When you've got a charity, you don't have that luxury. You've really got to watch everything. And I think it's a great learning ground actually for anyone to work in a charity and really be on the coalface of what has to happen in real time to make that work and make that work profitably and to get the best bang for the buck, so to speak.
Yeah, no, every pound has got to count, and everything that we do, we've minimum cost to it. But you can't run a charity without having, there are some overheads.
Sure.
There are always going to be overheads. And sometimes if that it can become tough because you've got your overheads. If there's not enough money's coming in, then you've got to cut back and then you've got to, yeah, it's just really difficult. And it's the same in business. If you're not selling your widgets, then you're not making money.
No.
And it's the same, well, if we haven't got the donors and we haven't got the people giving the pound, then we aren't able to give to other people. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
And so many of us as well.
Yeah, no. Okay, cool. Simon, so I know we've been talking for a while, so we probably want to bring this to a close now. Is there anything else you want to add? How do people, if they want to make a donation, how do they get in contact with you? What do you want us to add?
Absolutely, yeah. If people want to either volunteer with us, then they can get in touch with us through the admin York at childrenindistress.org.uk email address. They can visit our website. If they want to donate, the best place to donate is on the website. And again, the website is childrenindistress.org. No UK, just .org. That's it.
Okay.
And we'd love you to be able to contribute. If everybody contributed a pound in the country,
Mhm.
we'd be able to make such a big difference across the country. So, yeah, please do go and have a look and see the types of things that we're doing and see if it's something you would like to support us on. And equally, I can be contacted through there as well.
Okay, thank you so much. And for everyone, we'll put the details of Children in Distress and Simon's contact details in the show notes so you can get hold of those. But Simon, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for being part of this
Thank you.
special episode of the I can't even say it, Podcastathon week. As I said, this is a week where lots of podcasters get together and we speak to charities just to raise the profile of charities here across the world. Last year, 1,500 podcasters were involved, representing 40 different countries. So it's an opportunity just to get the people on the front line who are making such a massive impact at the grassroots within our world, really, to get them the recognition that they deserve. So thank you for all you
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you for the amazing impact you make for kids' lives, both here and abroad. And I really thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. And for everyone, we'll catch you next week. Bye bye.